Today, I'm talking to Eric Sidman of Compass, New York, with the Hudson Advisory Group, ranked number 4 by the Wall Street Journal and over 1 billion sold. Eric leads the Brooklyn division of the team and individually has closed over 300 million in transactions. We talk about how the right team and the right niche make you stronger, especially at 300 million in sales and growing. Thanks for listening to the Jere Metcalf podcast, where top real estate agents tell how they do it. This podcast was created for real estate agents across the country to come together, sharing ideas to take your, their, and our business to the next level. All right, everybody, it's the Jere Metcalf podcast where top real estate agents tell how they do it. And today we are so excited to have from New York City, specifically Brooklyn, Eric Sidman with the Hudson Advisory Group. Eric, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So guys, he's not a self-promoter. I've already figured that out. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you a little bit about him. Talking to the New Yorker, I can hear all the Southern in me. But here's a few things to know about Eric. 300 million in his career. He has been a developer of multiple developments across New York. And he's also been a mortgage broker. So well-rounded guy. Eric, now I'll let you add a little bit onto that and how you got into real estate.
Oh, it's a long road. I originally started doing mortgages back in the early 2000s with a bunch of friends that I went to college with. And they said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "Not much." They said, "You should come try this. It's the new thing. Everyone's doing it. You can make a lot of money." I ended up living in New York City. I was driving out to Long Island in some guy's garage every day. And we were just learning the mortgage business, and it was kind of the wild west of when everything was really happening. And as I matured, my business matured. I ended up getting better clients, moved to New York City, kind of established a real company, and started becoming more interested in the real estate side of things than just doing mortgages. I started buying and selling a couple properties in New York City. I started reading a lot. I was becoming a resource for a lot of my clients who would ask me questions about properties that they were buying when I was doing the mortgages for them. Started thinking to myself, hey, these guys are making a lot more money brokering the deals than I'm making doing the mortgages. So why don't I get my license, start doing the brokerage side of things? I'll still do mortgages for free for people. It'll be kind of my value add.
Wow. Yeah.
So I went out, I got my own brokerage license, just started in buyer representation. And then eventually just kind of transitioned totally out of mortgages, 100% into real estate brokering.
Wow. So mortgages into real estate, but you were a developer in there. So mortgages, and then you started buying and developing.
Yeah, the development really on a larger scale came later. The early stuff was kind of just buying condos that needed some work, doing a quick renovation and selling them in New York City. And then later on in my career, I started buying multifamily buildings in Brooklyn. One of them was a rental building. Another one was a building that I built and ended up being a pretty nice sized condo building. It was 7 units and a commercial space in Williamsburg. And always looking for more opportunities now as they come along.
Wow. So you're a real estate agent and a developer.
I am.
And talk about well-rounded and the kinds of conversations that you can have with your clients. So a few things I would love to talk about today with you. And I think anyone listening to this show probably has the same questions. There's two very interesting things that pop out to me immediately. We met, by the way, everybody in Miami. We met through Stephen Ferrara, who's also coming on the show, he kind of started the Hudson Advisory Group. But Hudson Advisory Group has done a little over $1 billion. Eric alone has done over $300 million in real estate sales. So being someone that's that productive, I think, there's two things. One, you've done 300 million in deals and you've got exceptional experience. It's not like you, quote, need a team the way most people assume you do in our industry. You are most successful than most brokers in the world. I mean, So definitely in the country. And the other thing is that you have really honed your niche and you're focused on Brooklyn. So I think there's a lot of talk about, do you niche, do you not niche? Everybody's afraid to niche because if I do, I'm going to lose a deal. And here we're talking to somebody doing really well with a niche and on a team. So let's start with the team. Why, when you're doing, the kind of deals you're doing and the kind of volume you're doing, why a team?
So I think that there's something to be said for being on team. As you said, I've kind of been there and done it all. And I used to have my own team, which was going really well. But I ultimately decided that I didn't really want to be a team leader. I really just wanted to focus on my own business, maybe even a little bit selfishly. But, I think that when you're running a team, there are more distractions involved in your everyday day-to-day, business than if you're just out there doing your single agent type of stuff. So the guys with Hudson, I actually had a kind of pre-existing relationship with, and our kind of coming together was really organic, which is how a team really should be. And being on a team gives you a lot of support. There's people that you can bounce ideas off of. There's an entire administrative support staff. There are other people that can help cover your listings when you need help. So, there's team camaraderie. There's a whole bunch of positive reasons to be on a team. Our team in particular is a really good team to be on. We're successful and do a lot of business in New York City, and it's pretty compelling to go on a pitch and tell people you're on the number 4 team in New York City. It's kind of hard to compete against that. So all those things.
Number 4 in the city, and you guys are young. I mean, you're kind of number 1, because if you put it all together, like for the time that you have in real estate and everybody else, I just call you number 1. But I mean, it's
Thank you.
But go ahead. I interrupted you, but I wanted to point that out to you.
No, I think a really important differentiator as well is that the top 3 teams do a lot of new development work. So they'll go and they'll take a building that's $150 or $250 million sellout, and that helps them get their numbers. Most of our business is just totally resale. So, I think from a grind standpoint, we're for sure the number 1 team out there working harder than anybody else.
So here's a question too on that is you're competing on even ground or kind of being counted the same as teams doing huge developments where it's like, okay, yeah, that's a lot of work, but it's also one huge development in one pop that you just won all of those, transactions on, or all of those listings. You guys are doing that. I know we talked about where you're looking at some small developments and things like that, but you're literally, it's almost like one deal at a time. You're keeping up with people who are on the other end of it, mass producing, for lack of a better word. How are you so productive and efficient to be able to produce at that level?
I think it's just all about my personal business philosophy is just on demand, right? So it's when someone wants to see something, when someone wants to meet with you, when someone wants to speak to you, you do it. And to the dismay of my wife, that's kind of how I roll, and it's worked. When someone wants to see an apartment at 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday, if they're qualified and they want to see it, then if I can do it, I'm going to show it to them.
Exactly. I love that. Be available, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Be available. Now, and when you're not, I think that comes back to the team. When you're not available, you probably have someone on the team who can be available, which helps you fulfill that level.
Absolutely. We've recently just expanded and brought 2 new people on that are helping with Brooklyn, but also, everywhere else as well. And it's a huge resource to have. So
and this may tap into the other half of our topic, but what do you think, and we've touched on a little, but if you had to sum it up in one sentence or 2, what would you say gives you your competitive edge?
So, transitioning nicely into the niche conversation, I'm pretty local. I really stay in my lane and do business in the same few neighborhoods in Brooklyn. I know the inventory really well. I know all the other brokers really well. And I think that knowledge is power in this business. And when you know who your competition is and what everyone else is doing, you can adapt accordingly and hopefully be better than them. Whether it's on the listing side or if it's on the buy side and you're representing a buyer, what's your edge on the buyer? So I think it's really about kind of being good at one thing. And I always say, jack of all trades, master of none. And the people that are doing business in Brooklyn, and then they're doing a deal on the Upper East Side, and then they're going to Harlem, and they're everywhere. They're not able to focus on one location. And that's kind of the way that the rest of the team works also. We're really like, the Manhattan guys are really hyper local in downtown Manhattan. And if they have a deal that's uptown, they're going to bring someone on or refer to someone that can better service their clients and knows that neighborhood better.
Exactly. And that's probably how you and the team in the Hudson Advisory Group, or I know Stephen on the team, but that's how you guys kind of started evolving into a team, was because you were doing so many deals together and bringing them in on deals. Yep. So just because everybody says this, everybody's like, yeah, but if I'm only going to do deals in Brooklyn, or if I'm only going to do deals in, let's say Chastain of Buckhead, or even just, Buckhead, Buckhead's pretty big in Atlanta, but so is Brooklyn. Anyway, my point is, if I'm going to like pigeonhole myself, what about all the deals I'm going to lose out on by doing that? Sure. What do you say to that?
So I only have a certain level of capacity, right? I only have capacity to do X number of deals a month, or manage X number of listings a week, and only so many buyers. So I choose to focus my efforts on the neighborhoods that I'm constantly in, and provide value to my buyers, because I know these neighborhoods that I'm constantly in, and I can explain the inventory to them. So I don't think that I'm losing any business. If anything, I think that if I took a listing somewhere out of my neighborhood, I'd probably be losing more business within my neighborhood by going outside.
And what is it? And what is it? Because I discovered this whole concept. It took me a little while, but what does it feel like? When you, in the beginning, I think you were a little bit more spread out, and now you used to go to a listing presentation. It might be anywhere. And now you go to a listing presentation and it's in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But how much faster and more productive? Go ahead.
It's a lot, but it's only certain neighborhoods in Brooklyn. Brooklyn's a pretty huge place. And I operate in probably 6 or 7 of the, kind of like primer neighborhoods in Brooklyn. But if someone has a deal that's way out west, 25 minutes away, I just say, sorry, I can't help you, or, let me try to help you find someone that can help you.
That's awesome. Well, and think about I would assume that when you do that, there's kind of a perpetual effect of that, of people going, oh, that's my Brooklyn guy. But you're reinforcing more business in the long run by saying no to one deal. You might have just picked up 5.
Absolutely.
But you're going to close better too, by the way, and get done much more quickly because you know the market.
Yep, exactly.
So tell us a little bit about how you you told us a little bit about how you got into business, but do you have a story of like when you became a realtor, you thought it was one thing, and then you like, here's I'm going to ask this question. What's been your biggest epiphany or / aha about being a real estate broker?
That it's not so easy, right? Everybody thinks that you just show up, you open the door, you have a great apartment, and someone's going to buy it, right? Or you go to this townhouse and it's on a great block, and people are just going to fall over themselves to try to buy it. It's hard. It's hard work. I'm a perfectionist, and I go in and I see a crooked picture, or I see the wrong paint color, or a couch in the wrong position. All these things go into making a listing in its best light, right? It's all about your best foot forward and first impressions. And I think that it's a really hard skill to master, to make sure that you're actually having the product that someone wants to buy, and then convincing them that it is indeed the right decision for them to make. Because as much as we're lucky to have good products, there's still a little bit of salesman and showmanship in this business.
Absolutely. Here's kind of a random question for you out of the blue, but I'm sitting here thinking about your business and what it's like for you and your market. And you're in New York City, and you don't really have an MLS in New York City.
No, we don't. No.
So how do you do that?
especially in Brooklyn. I mean, until recently, really before Compass came along, we had a couple different sites, but we were mostly searching on StreetEasy, which is owned by Zillow. It's still kind of the Wild West here. There's no collaboration and cooperation between the other brokerages. We have this REBNY, which is the Real Estate Board of New York, which tries to kind of control all the listing data. But there's no like official MLS that people subscribe to and follow the same rules. And again, REBNY is our board that kind of dictates how things go. But most agents that I know are still using StreetEasy to do their searches and to do their listings and all that stuff, rather than kind of participating in the REBNY database. It's not.
Wow. And so how has Compass impacted that? Because Compass obviously they kind of are their own MLS.
Yeah, exactly. It's really become the platform that we can use to get our listings out and make sure that they're going out to all the syndicators that we need to go to, and making sure that, the eyeballs are coming through from the organic clicks on Google and that kind of stuff. And it's really become the only place where you can go on and you can find almost every single listing in New York City. There's really no other place that you can do that.
So another part, that's crazy, because in Atlanta, there's one, we actually have two places, but we really just go to one. The two, anyway, that's for another conversation, but we definitely we don't have that problem. What do you think, what would you say? I don't know which one to ask you first. What is your most favorite deal or your least favorite deal ever in this business? I don't know which one to start with. Because you've done a lot of deals, being in development and in mortgages.
The least favorite deals are certainly the deals where you go in and someone says, "Hey, I need you to do me a favor and just close this deal, or just like do this one thing, and it's already done. It's a done deal. We just need you to go in and like open the door for him." Those are always the deals that go sideways and end up taking the most amount of your time, and you end up making the least amount of money on. And I've had several of those over the years. Most favorite deal, I don't know that I had, one particular deal that I've sold. I've sold a lot of really good real estate and have found homes for a lot of like really good clients who have become friends of mine. And I see some crazy stuff. It's really hard to pinpoint just one. I think maybe if I had to put my finger on it, it would probably be my home that we bought 2 years ago. And it was kind of like your typical real estate deal. These two brokers had the listing. I saw it the first day it came on the market. I didn't act on it. I thought about it every day for a week. I called them up. They said, "We got a contract out." I said, "All right, I want this house. Tell me what I need to do." And I acted fast. I signed a contract in literally 2.5 days, which is really fast for New York City. No due diligence, no nothing. I said, I'll sign it. Let's get it done. And now we have a beautiful townhome on a beautiful block in Williamsburg, and it's become my family's home.
Awesome. Doing your own deals always makes you have so much empathy.
For sure.
Your clients are like, "Oh my gosh.
I'm a terrible client."
It's so much easier when I can just advise them, or I'm like, "What would I tell myself right now?" Right?
Yeah, I'm the worst negotiator for myself, but
I'm terrible. I can negotiate a great deal, like you said, like do whatever, just take it all. Just let me have the house.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm exactly the same way. So I want to ask you. This has been a quick interview, but you're like, well, no. I was going to ask you final three, but before we close out, one more thing on the team concept. So you're on a team, but you get all these teams. You've got teams that have buyers agents and these people and those people, and you're on a team where it sounds more like your partners. Like you come in, you're Mr. Brooklyn on the team. You get the support. You get to, the support, not that you need a lot of credibility at 300 million in deals in a very short period of time, but you do have a powerful team behind you. But that being said, you guys, I'm assuming, do your own list. I mean, what's the structure of your team is where I'm going with this?
So we have two support staff who pretty much are our brains of the operation. They really run the team. We have systems in place that from the time that we're pitching a listing until the time that it closes, they're really handling all the administrative details that go along with that listing, whether it's working on the exclusive agreement or uploading the listing or scheduling the photography. Everything's kind of on autopilot. And our systems are really good so that when everything works, we're able to be out getting more business. And I'm confident in my team's ability to kind of take it from the administrative point that it needs to go through, so that when I'm ready to bring in another deal, they've already done what they need to do, and we're on to the next one. So I think that having the systems in place and the support staff is imperative. Without the staff, without our support team, then we'd be nothing.
That's awesome. And that frees you up, like you said, to do more deals. And
that's it. Just out there doing our thing.
So what does it look like? What is I noticed in New York, everybody calls it a pitch. We call it a listing presentation down here in Atlanta. Yep. But what is your pitch? What is your, whatever you want to call it? What is your meeting with the seller? What does that look like before you list a property?
So I think that a good agent is adaptable, and it really depends on who you're meeting with, right? Are you meeting with a hedge fund finance guy who all he cares about is the numbers? And that if that's the case, then I'll have a bunch of graphs and data and analytics for the guy, and he'll be super happy with that. Or is it an artist and she lives in a loft and she's very creative and doesn't really care about that and just wants to see your marketing photography? It all really depends on the particular client, on the type of property that they have, and kind of everything in between. I think that it's important to be, as I said, adaptable and flexible.
And what do you think your strength is? Is your strength the numbers? Is it the pictures? Is it the art? Is it making it pretty? What do you work better with?
I'm an information guy. So the
hedge fund guys love you.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really get the art so much, but it still works out. I'm all about kind of presenting the information and being transparent and honest with them and giving them my honest, strong opinion. And when it's time to kind of move forward in a particular direction, again, I'll advise them and guide them to where I think that we should go. But at the end of the day, the clients are the ones that are going to kind of be making the decisions. But I think that knowledge is power. So the more you know about your neighborhood, the more you know about how much the neighbor sold for, or how much the new building across the street is going for, or how many buyers showed up at this open house. All that information is important, and it kind of gives you the leg up on everybody else that isn't looking at that stuff.
Which comes back to your niche and understanding your market and what you specialize in and all that good stuff. Have you ever found when you go into a listing appointment, you're like, oh my gosh, this one's just a total artsy, like not going to relate to me. Do you go in and kind of have a way of working with what, of course, they're not weaknesses. They're the seller's weaknesses. I'm kidding. Sure. But do you have a way of going, okay, in this situation, these are my weaknesses. This is how I'm going to overcome it. Or do you kind of have a way of just going, okay, it is what it is. And kind of
I just try to find a common bond, right? So yeah, I'm not an expert in the art world, but maybe they'll have something that I can relate to, and I'll try to pick up on that. And I think that once you get a conversation going, you can talk about anything, right? It's not, maybe we don't talk about the apartment at all. I've been in listing presentations and we sat there and talked about, their faucet for 45 minutes because I was just looking at the same one, or, their floors came from a particular company, or whatever it is that is our common bond. That's kind of what I try to grab onto and go from there.
And one more question, and I am going to do the final three, but just like get in your head about how you deal with clients, how you deal with deals. Do you find now I've got like, this is what I do. I'll get like one, I'm like, yeah, but this. Now I have 5 questions. Just kidding.
Sure.
Do you find like winning business? Does it come to you? Because you're not a big self-promoter. So what's your big way of winning clients? How do they come to you, or how do you get them or go to them, or what is that?
So a lot of my business is kind of just within my network. Again, it's kind of focusing in the neighborhood. So someone will say, oh, I saw that you just sold this one. Can you come take a look at my apartment? Or I'll find a buyer in off-market property that they didn't know about, and they'll tell another friend of theirs, hey, Eric found me this that's off-market. You should talk to him. So most of my business is almost totally organic. I don't do enough marketing. I really should do more. I haven't, to be honest, found...
You've got a team doing that for you too.
Yeah, it's true. But as far as kind of like one-on-one specific target marketing, I don't know what the best marketing is. That's another podcast for another day. Maybe you can interview someone.
Well, you don't say that again. You don't know what?
I don't know what type of marketing is the best type to do. Like I've tried mailers, I've tried internet, I've tried social, and still trying to refine
marketing that you don't stop doing. That's the best kind.
Yeah.
You know what I think?
Yeah, it's true.
Problem is it gets really expensive. You're like, oh.
Yeah, you got to keep it up.
Yeah, time consuming.
But
I think informational marketing, we'll do that on another podcast, but I found I did the same thing you did with my business. And one of the least expensive, most productive was informational. Just giving them information on the market and what was happening all the time and keeping it going out consistently. That had more results than anything I've ever done. Yeah. But back to you and your team and how you're winning business. So here's my next question, because you're not a big self-promoter, but you're a super brainy guy. You've done a lot of deals. How did you, so you're doing great now. It's coming to you. It kind of builds momentum. You're fine. I mean, it's just kind of the snowball effect. How did you get that going? How did you get traction in the beginning?
A lot of just kind of hard work. And I mean, when I first started in the mortgage business, I was cold calling people literally all day long, picking up the phone and saying, hey, you want to refinance your house? I think it's all about being able to talk to people, and too many people just try to send out an email to get their point across and it's totally lost in translation. So being able to talk to people is a skill that I think is being lost actually. And that's how I started. I just started talking to people and going on appointments and meeting people and doing face-to-face pitches. And eventually it just keeps going. And that's it. Just hard work, really.
All right. One more question about the pitch. Mm-hmm. How do you frame your pitch? Like when you come in, I guess you said this already, but do you have any formula? Like when I go and do my pitch, this is how I set the stage. This is what comes next. And this is how the deal closes itself, or how I close it.
Sure. So I generally go in with a listing presentation from Compass. I think that their collateral is really good. And I kind of preface it by saying, look, I think a lot of the stuff in here is fluff that you'll enjoy looking at later. Let's talk about the stuff that's important to you, which is how I'm going to market your property, how we're going to price it, how we're going to support you, and how I'm going to keep you informed during the process. And I think that keeping your seller informed, especially in maybe a softening market that we're in right now, is the most important thing, because if you're not communicating with them, they don't know what's going on, they don't know what you're doing, and they can't adapt. And if we need to all of a sudden get on the phone with a seller who we haven't talked to in 2.5 months and say, hey, I think we should drop your price $150,000, they're not going to like that too much. But if you've been keeping them updated with live updates and phone calls and emails, and they really know that what you're doing and where your marketing efforts have gone, they can appreciate that. And that's actually part of the strongest part of my pitch, is that I'm going to keep you informed during this entire process so that we can make the right decisions and sell your apartment or your house for the most amount of money that we can get.
That's awesome. I love what you said too, that the most important part of your pitch is that you're going to keep them up to date, because I've never actually, I talk about that, but I always wondered, did they really understand how much that doesn't happen and how valuable that really is to them? And you find they do. Yeah,
they're in the dark. If we don't communicate with them, then they have no idea what's going on.
Oh yeah, but in the pitch.
Oh yeah.
But like they recognize that in the pitch or in the meeting, the first meeting.
Exactly. I'll show them the tracking sheet that I use and how I'm going to keep them informed. And I don't know that a lot of other agents are doing that and specifically concentrating on the information. Standpoint
what kind of information is on your tracking sheet? Is it traffic, showings, feedback, marketing, combination?
All the above. So we send out a biweekly marketing report to all of our clients and let them know all the marketing that we've been doing over the last 2 weeks, whether it's social media or internet advertising or whatever. And then we also have a live tracking sheet where we provide real-time information for how many showings we had and feedback and everything that you just mentioned.
And they have asked they could just log in and see that online anytime.
24/7. It's a Google sheet.
Do you use Google Drive for that, or how do you do that?
Yeah, it's a Google sheet.
That's what we do. It's the best.
Yep. So if they are riding in the train home or in a taxi or whatever, hey, how many showings did they have today? What did people say? Oh, no washer dryer. It's a pass. Right.
That's awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So that being said, the final 3 questions. Number 1 is, which Google Drive's a pretty good one, but what do you find is the best tool that you have to apply to your business?
There's a lot of tools that I use. I mean, I think that the combination of like Google, Dropbox is really important. I mean, I kind of live by those documents. We use WhatsApp exclusively, and I live and die by WhatsApp. I mean,
what is it about WhatsApp that's so much better than?
It's searchable. You can work it in a browser and also on your phone and also on the desktop. You can drop files in there and search for them real quick. You can look at images.
WhatsApp does all that?
Yeah.
I had no idea. I thought it was just what I talk to my clients on when they're out of the country. I didn't know it did all that other stuff.
It's great. It's the best communication you can.
Really?
I have probably 56 WhatsApp groups on my phone right now, and all of them are categorized by the different, properties that I have going on and different chats that are relating to whatever. You going to steal that one?
I didn't even know it could go on a desktop. I thought it was just a phone. I mean, thank goodness
it's great.
Interview Eric, or I would have been in the dark for a long time, or I already have been. So what do you like it most for? What for just being able to use it, like you said, on different, whether you're on a browser or a phone and dropping documents?
It's really what our team uses to communicate. So instead of searching your emails for something, or instead of sending a document via text message or sending a picture via text message, it's all lives in one place.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We might start doing that. Seriously.
It's good.
So many things from this podcast I've applied to my business. It's been insane, but it's been great. Next question is book. Is there a book that you would say has most impacted your life, your business, both?
I don't know that there's one book. I like to read all sorts of stuff, generally not real estate related. I enjoy reading a lot about finance. I just finished Flash Boys by Michael Lewis, which is about high frequency trading.
Spell that Flash
Boys, DOYS.
Cool. What's it about?
It's about high frequency trading and basically how Wall Street is basically stealing from mom and pop and everyday investors every single day, every single trade that happens, by taking 1/16th of a cent off of every trade that happens on the stock exchange.
Interesting.
Yep.
Cool. Any others?
I'm reading another one right now. It's called Random Walk Down Wall Street, and it was originally written in the 70s, and it's about investing and the stock market, and the basic philosophy is buy low, sell high, which sounds smart, but easier said than done.
True. So it's kind of like how to figure out when it's low and when it's high.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot to do with that. It talks about basically the exuberance of the market, and everyone kind of piles in, and then that's not the right time to buy, but that's the time that a lot of people make the mistake and they do buy. And again, like the basic premise is not to pick individual stocks. You're never going to beat the market. So if you're a long-term investor, and you can, you buy a basket of stocks and you wait it out. But, I'm not an investor. I'm actually a terrible investor. I just like reading about it. And also a lot of my clients are finance. So it kind of going with that common bond theme, gives me something to talk about with them.
You can speak their language, which helps a lot. Yep. I think that's a good message for everybody. there's so much like this scripting business going on. I mean, it's going on in sales forever. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not about what you say. It's about listening.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yep, it's all about listening. One of my colleagues sent me a note today, and she was going to talk to somebody, and she said, what do I do? What do I say to them? She's fairly new in the business. I said, just listen to him. Just listen to what he says, and then see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And the best book for that, I do this every other show. I've skipped a couple of shows. The book Never Split the Difference. Chris Voss,
yeah.
Have you read it?
Yeah. I haven't read it. It's on my list to read. People love it.
Seriously, you are doing yourself a disservice, just for the record.
I know. I need to read it.
If you read it, you'll have the way, even like it used to be, I would get so frustrated. Now when conversations don't go well, I truly feel like I at least know why.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go get it right now.
Listening. No, what was that?
I'm going to order it on Amazon as soon as we get off.
You better. I'm going to check in with you. I'm going to send you the link. I'm going to send you the Kindle link right now. I would offer to order it for you, but then what if I don't? But I'm going to send you the Kindle link. Okay. I'm at least going to do that.
Sounds good.
No, you're awesome. Okay. Last question. If there's one thing that you hope that we would take away, everyone listening to this interview, you hope that we take away from it, what would you hope that would be?
I hope that other agents kind of listen to this and treat their clients with respect and their colleagues with respect, and kind of bring back some integrity to a business that has really lost it, I think, along the years. And I think that, kind of all we have in this business is our name and our integrity. And I think that that's like the most important thing is your reputation, right? You do a disservice to somebody, that's it. The business is over. So I think that's really like my number one philosophy is just like, don't screw people.
I love that. Don't screw people. That's the name of the show. I'm just kidding. It's not. Seriously, just think about it. It's great that you say that. I think, unfortunately, sometimes that does get lost a little bit.
It does.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Awesome.
For being on
Thank you.
This was awesome.
Thanks, Jere.